Ahead and toss it to Council President Friedson for opening remarks, and then we'll open it up for questions. Council President Friedson, to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan. Good morning, good week to everybody. Thanks for joining us. Glad to be back here after missing last week as a result of Martin Luther King Day. I hope everybody enjoyed the weekend. Few items that I'll cover and then open it up to questions, starting with the big news last week. The county executive on Tuesday submitted and transmitted his recommended capital budget to the council for fiscal years 2025 through 2030. The budget includes $5.8 billion in total capital investments over the 6-year period. Just want to thank the county executive and his team for their work on the capital budget, as it provides a really important starting point for the council's analysis and deliberations. Of course, we have a lot of work to do over the next several months. And as council president, my overarching goal is to strategically balance capital investments for schools, fire and police stations, roads, libraries, recreation centers, and facility improvements in a fiscally responsible, transparent, and sustainable way, while remaining focused on the financial pressures facing our taxpayers and recognizing that we are facing fiscal challenges ahead. The council will review each project in the appropriate committee of jurisdiction and then at the full council. The county's capital budget is considered for approval at the same time as the operating budget at the end of May. As you know, the operating budget is transmitted on March 15th. And so we will take them up together, but we'll get a head start as we usually do on the capital budget. The council's public hearings for the capital budget are scheduled to be held on February 6th at 1:30 and 7 p.m. and February 7th at 1:30 p.m. Residents can sign up to testify in person at the county council office building or through Zoom on the council's website. We have opened up additional opportunities for added public input because we know how important it is and we know how many residents are interested in this. Our goal is to make it as easy as possible for as many residents as possible to be able to participate in all deliberations that we have, and especially in our capital budget and operating budget discussions. When it comes to the budget at the county level, we're also looking very closely, monitoring the state level, and just wanted to express my appreciation and the county's appreciation to Governor Moore and his team for the announcement of the $150 million restoration to the state transportation budget for this year, with $52 million going to restore highway user revenues for local governments, which is critical for our maintenance of roadways, and another $26 million to restore transit system operating grants. Just to bring that home specifically here to Montgomery County, that means that we avoided $17.4 million in proposed cuts to ride-on service that would have begun July 1st. And it reverses significant reductions that would have needed to take place when it comes to highway user revenues at a time when we are needing to keep up with the maintenance of our roads. When it comes to those ride-on cuts in particular, this would have hit the most vulnerable residents in our community. It would have really put a major burden and barrier on the county to keep up with our interest in expanding ride-on access and expanding transit access. And it would have undermined our efforts to expand ridership at Metro, which has been a major state and county priority. So we're very much appreciative of that restoration, although we recognize that there are tough decisions ahead. And we note that the decisions were inherited by this administration. We look forward to partnering with them and want to make sure that we're working with the governor and his administration, with the secretary, who we know very well, Secretary Wiedefeld, and our delegation to ensure that the decisions are not passed along to the county as a burden, that we're solving these fiscal challenges and our transportation priorities, collaborating between the county and the state. We know that the governor is committed to that. We know that our delegation is working hard at that, and we're very much interested in looking at ways to modernize our transportation network in a collaborative way. In terms of last week, we had a significant bill that was approved, the tree canopy bill that I introduced along with Councilmember Glass to help expand the tree canopy in Montgomery County. We know how important trees are, the lungs of our communities in many ways, that provide shade, that provide significant environmental benefits that are part of health and quality of life in our communities. The legislation is really a common sense measure that ensures that the fees are in line with the actual costs and then ties it to inflation moving forward. So we don't get into the scenario again where it no longer is reflective, and addresses both the street tree planting fund and the tree canopy conservation account. So both in the right of way on roadways when there are sidewalk and road improvement and changes and utility changes, and then also in infill development with the tree planting fund. The adjusted fee structure will be implemented at the end of April, and an effective date was established, as a standard bill 91 days after the bill. Really excited to see us plant more trees in our neighborhoods, improving air quality, reducing heat islands, and enhancing quality of life. And appreciate the fact that this was supported unanimously by all of our colleagues, and will help us to strengthen our tree canopy and community resiliency moving forward. Similarly, we have this week a public hearing coming up on the property tax credit bill that I introduced at the first full meeting as council president. That's Bill 4523, which would expand and extend the county's property tax credit for individuals 65 and older and retired military service members and their spouses. This was an effort that I undertook to try to help older adults and retired military service members and their spouses age in place in Montgomery County. One of my main goals this year as council president is to unleash the potential of Montgomery County's fastest growing population, our older adult population. And this bill is one significant way of doing that. The bill would allow individuals to qualify for the credit if the assessed value of their home is under $900,000. That expands significantly the assessed value of a home that would qualify. And it would tie that amount to inflation so that we don't have to continuously come back to address it. It would automatically increase without further action necessary. And then it adds an income requirement. As we're expanding it, we're targeting the people who need it the most, and that would go between 20 and 50% of a credit. It's currently capped at 20% credit. Would go up to 50% property tax credit based on income $90,000 and below, and at certain thresholds, and significantly also reduces the residency requirement from 40 to 25 years. So currently you have to live in your home consecutively for 40 years in Montgomery County before you have a chance to qualify for the credit. This leaves most people out. By reducing it to 25 years, a much more reasonable number will allow many, many more people to benefit from this. And then importantly, it grandfathers in anybody who's currently receiving a credit so that nobody loses a benefit as a result of the passage of this bill. Look forward to going through the process with this and to move this initiative forward so that we can help our fastest growing population to build a community for a lifetime in Montgomery County, and to ensure that we fulfill our capabilities as a county of vital aging, as we talk about so frequently. One other item I just wanted to hit, we have the Tacoma Park Minor Master Plan. This is a master plan that's coming up. The council will participate in a bus tour of the area so that we can actually be on the ground and see the changes and the impacts on the ground. It will re-envision areas near and along Maple and Lee Avenues, the Erie Center and Washington Adventist and University campuses. We'll be on that bus tour as council members tomorrow morning, which was rescheduled from Friday due to the inclement weather. And we, as part of our efforts to meet residents where they are and to move land use in particular and master plan public hearings into the communities that are most impacted, we're going to be having the public hearing on this issue on Thursday at Tacoma Park Middle School at 7 p.m. Residents are welcome to join and must sign up online in advance to testify. We currently are running a wait list, but have opened up and extended the signups, just like in the capital budget. I want to provide every opportunity that I can to accommodate additional speakers to make sure as many people as possible can be part of the process. So those are the main updates. Happy to open it up to questions. I'll turn it back to you, Jordan, to facilitate.
Great. Thank you so much, Council President Friedson. Reporters, if you have any questions, friendly reminder, please note that in the chat, or you can go ahead and raise your hand and I'll call on you accordingly. Reporters, any question? I'll give you a few moments. I don't see any questions at the moment. Okay, going once. Okay, we have Joe Yasharoff from my MCM. Good afternoon or good morning, Joe. How are you?
I'm good. I'm
Fran, how are you?
I'm not Joe. I don't even play him on TV. I have a question that's actually kind of a two-parter. I have been covering the Little Falls Parkway situation, and I hear from residents on a regular basis, and I know that they are not happy with the current proposal by the Parks Department. They want things restored to 2 lanes north and south, as it was previous to the road diet. They feel like they have done every democratic means of, you know, registering their opinions. They've been to the hearings, they've signed petitions, they've held vigils, and they've even analyzed the results of the survey that you got at the council and found that an overwhelming number of respondents wanted to return to the old configuration. They don't feel they're being heard. How would you respond to that?
Well, I've spent more time on Little Falls Parkway than probably any other issue that has faced the council or the county in my 5 years as a council member. So I'm certainly well aware of the community concerns and opposition. I spent much of the weekend meeting with and discussing with several residents, responding to emails. We have before us on Tuesday a decision and a discussion that we're going to have to take up. And the community's concerns have been part of that conversation. In fact, this has changed quite a bit based on those community concerns. So originally, the Parks Department was proposing a linear park based on pushback and some concerns that I helped to raise on behalf of the community. The linear park is no longer under consideration. The original proposal from the Parks Department was to realign the 2 lanes from 1 lane in either direction to 2 lanes on one side of the median. So currently, the current temporary condition is two lanes of opposite traffic on one side of the median. The committee met and decided that the preference was to be on either side of the median, which is more in line, is exactly in line, in fact, with the pre-pandemic condition at the trail crossing. And the question is whether that extends an additional block, whether that extends from Hillendale to Dorset, which is the additional block. So the other major decision point, the Parks Department in their original proposal had suggested that they would remove pavement in any change that they made. And the decision was left up to the full council. I had suggested maintaining pavement for the time being as we see, how changes, work, reflecting some of the concerns that were raised both from emergency response and from community members. That is up for discussion still. So the 2 main discussion points that are remaining are the length of the road diet itself and the so the length of the road diet itself and the retention of pavement, particularly in the Hillendale to Dorset stretch. So those are decisions that are before the council, but certainly the community has weighed in very heavily. Their input has dramatically changed where the conversation currently is. Ultimately where the final decision lands will be up to the discussion and determination of the full council. We're moving towards what appears to be a compromise at this point, but we'll see what the full appetite of the council is tomorrow.
Okay, yes, I noticed that there's a new proposal from the November meeting. So I expect there'll be discussion then about that.
Yeah, the Parks Department has sent a memo. They've come back with a response to the committee's conversation and concerns, and what they perceive to be a compromise on the retention of the pavement on the main area of controversy, and where most of the concerns have been raised, which is on the additional stretch that was not in the pre-pandemic stretch. So that's from Hillendale to Dorset. And so their proposal is effectively to, while they preferred not to, a proposal that would retain the pavement for that stretch in order to address the concerns that were raised at the committee. And my suggestion that retaining the pavement would allow for us to have a decision that is not, that is permanent in terms of not having orange jersey barriers and things that are disruptive and not well received and hard to navigate for drivers from a safety perspective, with things that are not irrevocable. If there are changes that need to be made, adjustments that need to be made, it will allow for some level of flexibility, which I think is a direction that I would be most comfortable in.
Well, thank you for your edification on those processes. And I look forward to the discussion tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
Shannon. Thank you so much. Reporters, any other questions? Please note that in the chat, or you can raise your hand and I will call on you accordingly. I don't see any other questions at the moment, but I'll give you a few moments. Going once. Going twice. 3 times. Okay, back to you, Council President Friedson. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I don't know if I didn't do a good enough job going through the current issues, or I did such a good job that there are no questions, but appreciate everybody joining us today. Look forward to continuing our work. We have a lot of issues before us, particularly now as we head into capital budget and get ready and gear up for the operating budget discussions and a number of policy issues that'll be before us as well. So thank you for joining us. Have a great day and a great week ahead, and look forward to seeing you next week.